Okay, looks like we're going here. I'm doing a really small portrait today that it's going to be a challenge. We'll see if it turns out well. I'm doing a limited palette, and I can't find one of my favorite pigments, so I'm using a different brand, which is, I'm using Gamblin's Venetian Red, which is like Gamblin is good paint. I use it a lot. This isn't a bad paint. It's just not exactly the same as Winsor Newton's, which is what I usually use. And so my color mixes are going to go a little funny today, I think, as I expect them to do one thing and they do another. And let's see. Oh, good. I have one tube of cad yellow that's just rock hard, but that one's fine. So I've got basically two reds, a yellow, and a blue. And I'm just going to mix up just a little start kind of a drawing brown to get me started. A little bit of solvent and medium to make it flow a little better. All right, and my tiny canvas is right here, and like a bit small. Boom. Oh, I think I can adjust this a little better. All right. So my little head is gonna go. Let's see, where's the middle of my canvas? Right there. All right. So my jaw's gonna be about there. Eye line up here somewhere. It is not the world's most accurate drawing, but it's enough for me to sort of see what's going on. And things are going to shift as I work stuff out a bit anyway. Yeah, that already isn't quite where I want things to wind up. This brush is just a little loose here at the ferrule, and I don't like the feel of it. Let me see if I can crimp it. That feels better. That feels better. Ooh. I got way darker on that stroke than I meant to. drawing from a photo here. Photo I took, just as I know people often wonder where painters get their reference. Well, in this case, I took a camera and a person, and I went out and photographed some stuff. And like, is working from life or working from photos better? I mean, the standard answer you're supposed to say is working from life is better. And working from life is really cool, right? It's great, and there are things about it that are much better than working from photos. But working from life is not always better. I mean, first off, it's just not always practical. But like, I'm going to be painting a pretty cool facial expression that is not something a person could hold. Well, let's rephrase that. I'm going to be trying to paint a pretty cool facial expression in some very transitory outdoor light. Like this lighting only happens for a few minutes outside, and I could build a simulation of this light in studio light, but I couldn't get a model to hold this expression. So since I am working from a photo, I'm going to be doing stuff that I couldn't really do if I were working from life. At this point, I would barely even call this painting. It's more like I'm getting to know what I'm painting, deciding what I'm going to paint. Here on the canvas. The canvas, the panel. Let's be honest, this is not canvas. Or let's be accurate, not honest. My background is going to be mostly a very light color, like practically white. So I've got water and sky, but in between them I get this little bit of greenery. And having that value placed early on is going to help me make better choices about the values and colors. In my head. All right. Having that white there to go back into is fantastic. But honestly, I don't make the world's best value choices when I've got this much white working for me. We're going to have, this is like the rightest spot on the head. Every once in a while I spend so long mixing just the right color that I go back to the canvas and I forget where I was going to put it. Like, what was this for? I don't know. All right. John, how you doing, man? It is nice to see you passing by here. You know what? That's way too yellow. That's way too yellow. I need to... In fact, that's so yellow, I'm just gonna... That's so wrong, I'm not gonna cover it up. I'm gonna try to wipe it down. Ooh, you know what? Let's do a little bit of sculpting with the rag here. Here's my cat Calcifer complaining in the background. Look at how quickly we're dialing in some forms using this. That's fun. All right. Honestly, that I haven't quite. This isn't the size I usually work, and I'm not quite using the right brushes. All right. So when I'm drawing, one of the first places I develop is the nose, because if I get that nose pretty close to right, it tells me all sorts of stuff. It tells me everything I need to know about the position of the head, right? Am I looking up at it? Am I looking down at it? Where is it leaning? How far is it turned to the side? All that information is there in the nose, and so if I can get the nose established, right, and an eye, because it's so spherical, it doesn't give you as much information about what angle you're seeing it from. So if I get the nose established, then when I look at what I'm doing here, I understand that, the chin's just a little high, the head's turned this far, all that sort of stuff. And hopefully it means I will make better marks, better choices about, the angle that I'm drawing the eye at, the angle I'm drawing the mouth at, all that stuff. Because of my joint problems, I don't use little brushes very often. I don't draw and paint small very often. there's only so many brush strokes I can make in the day, and the number is not large. So I love when I can kind of set the scene so that one brush stroke does a lot of work. Now, the mouth is so key to this expression, and honestly to the structure of the bottom half of the face, because the expression is going to pull the chin off center. But I'm really, I don't know. Like, I know that I want to dive in. And work that mouth area. But I don't know if that's actually the best call. It's probably better to get nose and forehead region better established. It'll help me keep the mouth kind of lively when I paint it. As I put stuff in here, you like to get things right. But you never get, or I never get things right first try. I get things close, or sometimes not very close at all. And then I go back in and take a look. I'm like, that's not right. I need to make that, move it, make it darker, make it lighter, make it warmer, make it cooler, all that sort of stuff. And to keep my paints flexible, I tend to err on the side of a little too light, because it's easier to darken than it is to lighten, and a little too warm, because it's easier to cool than it is to warm. So she's got this like messy bun going on up here, and I'm not going to try to render it, but I do want to get just a little of the sense of it, right? A little of the impression, the gesture of it. Ken, how you doing, man? This little spot between the eyebrows and right above the nose, some people call the keystone, because it's, kind of shaped like the keystone in masonry, right? You'd have in the lintel. And if you get that area right, or let's put it this way, if you get that area wrong, it's really hard to get a person's likeness to come through. We don't think of it as an important part of a person's likeness. But honestly, it's, I hate to say it, but it's kind of key. To get that in. So I'm trying to capture an overcast day, almost at sunset, right? we don't get strong sunset colors because the sky gets grayed out by the overcast so much. But we get some pretty complicated stuff because the light's all around her and a little behind her. That wasn't right. Let's try that again. And reflecting off the water below her. So we get some really, really cool light sources and some relatively warm shadows, but honestly, the whole effect is pretty desaturated just because the light of the day is so gray. But it's a fun challenge to get that sort of dark in the middle, light around the edges, contre-jour against the day effect. Mike Maldonado, how you doing, man? Nice to see you passing through. Okay. So I feel like I've got, right, it's a person now, right? Doesn't have any detail or anything, but it's a head. We get it. But before I get into any details, I really want to make sure I've got these big shapes, fairly correct, right? I'm never going to have them perfect. That's not the kind of artist I am. If I wanted them perfect, I'd do a really tight underdrawing, or hell, project and trace it, right? That technology is not hard to come by anymore. But perfection's never my goal, and I love for a painting to be a record of its creation, right? All the mistakes and the refinements are right there. They're just underneath the corrected layers. Everything's done right here. It's like if you could take an X-ray and dig down through the layers of a painting, you'd see every stroke, every correction. Just scrubbing away some of those whites. This thing's so small. It's just hilarious. Got my maul stick, which is like twice the size of the painting. So I can come in here and rest my hand when I decide to get a little tighter. And hopefully I've got the right volume of paint sitting there on the surface. So that I can make a stroke that just pushes the paint that's there and mixes with it just the right amount. My reference is on a computer screen right over here. And periodically I've got to tap the mouse to keep the screen from turning off. I sort of wish I had gone into my settings and made it not do that. All right. So one of the things going on in this pose is that this eye is higher than that eye because of the angle that the head is at, but also we've got a raised eyebrow over on this side. So I've got to sort of stop and take stock of how much of that angle is, you know, the underlying structure of the skull, and how much of it is the softer parts. Jesus, I'm glad you could stop by. That's lovely. And I always think of painting as like all the brushstrokes are just, all the steps are just setting the stage for the next step, right? That's pretty dark and blue. I might regret that later. We'll see. Right, I don't want to play it too safe and controlled and wimpy and not leave. If you take away room for errors, you take away a room for fantastic surprises. But I also don't want to make stupid mistakes. I need to. That red showing through is messing me up a little. So even though it's a little early in the day, I'm going to drop in an indication of the whites of the eyes. Sclera? Is that the proper name? I can't remember. Eyebrows are a relatively superficial part of the face, right? They're sitting way up there on the top and that sort of thing of every structure. And a rather intelligent painter friend of mine once told me to paint superficial things superficially, right? Leave them last, leave them fairly lightly indicated, all of that stuff. But I think if I do that too much here, I'm not going to get the angles and all that stuff in this expression right. another thing. So I almost always paint people who aren't wearing makeup. But not this time. We got some dark, smoky eye action going on here. One of the complicating factors here is having the camera right here. I can really only paint with my right hand. And usually I mix things up right and left, but when I come in with the left, I bump into the tripod. Yeah, I think this is just going to have to be a right-handed painting. All right, this is the first time I've tried this particular camera setup. And now I've got just a little more information about what that's like. Okay, so this comes in rather blue in there, but then wrapped around behind it, we get the structure of the cheek. Coming out and up. All right. So the eyes aren't detailed or anything, but they're there now. So I think I can come back into this nose a little bit. Threw down way too intense, well, not way, but slightly too intense red because I wanted to be able to blend and smear it into the area. Again, setting the stage. Okay. Boop. So we've got that natural ruddiness of the nose area, right? Things get just a little redder there, but also these upturned planes are really reflecting the blue-gray clouds. So I'm trying to tell the viewer both things, right? This is an object that's a little bit red, but under a light source that's robbing that red of its punch. So we've been going at this for a little more than half an hour. So my model here is a young woman who I met on the day that we took the photos. But I've known her mom for years. And it's kind of funny as I'm working here, recognizing little aspects of Denise's face in her daughter's face. Oh, I thought that color wasn't going to be right, but that is actually pretty good. Beth! Blast from my past. I hope you are doing well. It's nice to have you pass by me here as I'm working. I feel like it's friends just dropping by to peek in on what I'm doing. I love it. Alright. Now I think it's time to kind of establish a little bit of this chin area. Big part of this expression is how she's popping her chin over to one side. And getting a little bit of a funny effect right now where I've got, you know, the eyes not rendered or anything, but established. And the nose established. And just no mouth at all. It's got a little bit of a sci-fi feel to it. Whew. You know what? That ear is really not placed properly. Remember Bill Whitaker telling us that when you find a mistake, you should celebrate. Because the mistake was always there. And you noticing it means you can fix it. And the sooner you notice it, the sooner you can fix it. So, reward your eye and your brain for finding those mistakes. Don't say, damn it, the ear's in the wrong place. Say, hooray, I found a thing that I should fix. Things will get better now. It's a really, really small part of the many awesome stuff, awesome things Bill Whitaker taught me. Even though I knew him online a bit, and I took one workshop with him, right? I wasn't a dedicated student of his who spent a year living in his basement or anything. But he just said a lot of things that are still really important to me. All right. It is time to get the hint of that mouth placement in. And here I think I probably will work that. Treat superficial elements superficially, because a superficial thing about this mouth is the lipstick. So I'm kind of going to paint it as though she weren't wearing lipstick. And then drop in. And get the get the mouth established in a more sort of natural tones that are easier to fix and modify, right? Because I'm not instinctively going to get this right. This is gonna be some push and pull to find exactly where this twisted mouth winds up. And if I were to drop in with the like purple black lipstick she was wearing, I would just make my life miserable. Trying to get the shapes and structure correct. And like right now, I made that top edge of the lip come out a little further. But since I didn't paint it in bright purple, I can go back and correct it fairly easily. That here is distracting me. I need to... That was useful information a few steps ago, but now I need to tamp it down. Warm it up and lower the contrast a little bit. Zoop. All right. I need to think, well, truth is I'm thirsty and I'm gonna pour a little bit of iced tea here. But while I do that, I'm looking and decide what my next steps are. And I think actually I want to bring all of the rest of the figure up a bit before I dial in too much more on the features. Whew, that is some white paint. Will I regret that? Time will tell. Okay, that's the right intensity, but not the right value. There we go. That's much better. That's going to set the stage. Drag this up from the clavicular notch. Wrap around the sternocleidomastoid. Whenever I go to a doctor and I mention things like the sternocleidomastoid and the clavicle and the scapula, they tend to ask if, do I work in healthcare? And I'm like, nope, I'm a painter. I draw and paint people. So, the surface anatomy, right? Like if it's a bone that shows up or a muscle that really shows up, on the surface, I probably know its name. Like what the Pronator Terries does. It's not because I have any great insight in health and anatomy. It's just because I needed to learn it enough to draw it. Okay. It's a deep sighing noise of me evaluating what's going on and what to do next. Right, when I've set the stage right, I get to make cool brush strokes. Not color temperature cool, like neat, fun, exciting brush strokes. That should have gone top to bottom, not bottom to top. I would have been happier with that. All right, I think not how I usually do it, but I think I need to get that and this sort of stated a little stronger, because right now they're so vague I can't really see them. Right, and I don't have that shoulder in the right place, etc., etc. I got to make everything a little louder, a little stronger, so I can see what I've got and what I don't. Ooh, look at all that paint I left hanging over the edge. Let's not waste that. Let's grab that and bring it in. I'm going to come in. Soften some transitions in a few places, but hopefully not indiscriminately. Right, like if those brush strokes stay until the piece is finished, that actually might be pretty cool. I just dropped my brush off camera and caught it. It was deft and amazing. I'm sorry you guys didn't get to see it. Yeah, that little bit of gray did some important stuff. This area needs to be cooled down. trying to set the stage for the next step. Ooh. Yeah, honestly, this is a long time to be painting with just my right hand, and it's starting to give me some trouble. Oh, I'm laying this titanium white on thick, and it is going to take months to dry. But that's all right, because it's also going to look cool. And I need just enough. All right, I've got the white of the panel still showing up here. And often I love leaving the support showing, right? You know, my painting's done on aluminum or raw linen. I love telling the viewer about all the steps back to the ground that it's built upon. But in this case, I want that paint on paint that lets me do fun little marks like that. Bop, boom. So I don't have a black on my palette. I've got burnt sienna, Venetian red, cadmium yellow, and ultramarine blue, and titanium zinc white. But that burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, they make a pretty convincing black. All right. Soup. Soup. All right, that's the setting, the stage I'm looking for. Where they write the right brush stroke, the right pressure on top of it. Makes you feel like there's detail there that honestly is not there. It's an illusion. So that area right there, that's very different from the reality of my reference photo, but that's pretty cool. I won't be surprised if that stays until the end. Okay. As we go up a little higher, the warmth of this hair becomes more pronounced. I'm deciding whether I should come in and do these big, straight tendrils and strands. Right, is this the right time to do them, or should that wait? It makes a lot of sense to wait until the face is more established, right? To get a better idea of how line work and hair strands and stuff relate to the details of the face. All right, I need to grab my mirror. Oh, hi. I need to take a look. At this in reverse, and oh yeah, I am noticing some things. Honestly, as any sort of realist artist, I don't know what tool is more valuable than a mirror. Okay, so I need. Right, and that white is too strong, but that's right. It's serving its purpose in the moment. And it'll get knocked back closer to where it's supposed to be. As we work. So I don't have alizarin crimson in my palette. My cool red is this Venetian red, which is not very cool, honestly. And I'm sitting here and I'm playing with the idea of, yeah, no, let's not play with it. Let's grab it. All right, so we're not four pigments anymore. We are now 5. And this is actually fairly funny because now I have 3 reds on my palette. Got burnt sienna, Venetian red, and alizarin crimson. That seems excessive. And this is pure alizarin crimson. I haven't mixed it with anything. I'm just dropping it in and loading it into the pigment that's already there. And it is giving me that weird color transition I was looking for. Awesome. Hooray! Limited palettes can do such cool things, but sometimes you gotta set them aside and say, this is a job for a different pigment. Okay, so I've lost a little bit of the roundness of this forehead. Lay these brush strokes in, wrapping around the form and help get some of that volume established. From the color in the light and dark, yeah, but also just from the brushstroke. Let's use all the tools at our disposal. Boop. Painting everything so small, I'm not using some of my painting and rendering tricks that I love as much. And maybe I should. Maybe I should be diving in. And let's see. Go push, deep, and rotate. Okay, not perfect, but good. That was a positive. And rotate, spin it. Now I have some alizarin crimson and white. Bring that in and around. Huh. I'm having fun using a little bit of neoclassical techniques to paint a face that no neoclassical artist would ever have done. Well, no is a strong statement, right? But certainly Ong and David. I think would have found painting a suspicious smirk beneath them. All right, so that went too yellow to be accurate. But accurate isn't the goal here. So the question is too yellow actually better than accurate? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right. Covering up certain parts. Okay. So where am I at here? It's stop and take a little evaluation moment. And honestly, I think I've now crossed into where this isn't just an experiment to see what happens, but this might actually be good when it's done. This might, there's enough cool stuff happening that this should be fun and quirky. I think this is going to be cool. All right, how long did that take? 1 hour and 8 minutes for me to think that this painting might actually be worth making. I painted this for 1 hour and 8 minutes, not knowing if it would be any good, not expecting it to be any good. And I've now crossed over and I'm like, oh, you know what? I think this is going to be pretty neat. I think we've got some big decisions laid out pretty well. And now it's a matter of doing some corrections, certainly. But more importantly, pumping up the positive stuff. I don't want anybody to look at my painting and say, wow, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not my goal. That's not what makes anybody excited about looking at a piece of art, is that it's error-free. A blank piece of paper is error-free. Well, I admit that those strokes didn't do what I intended them to. I think what happened is I started talking about how I think this is going to be good, and so then I just had to start screwing things up. It's just a natural response to my own hubris. So that white is a little heavy, but I'm going to drag it. And I'm going to shift and drag it and push it. And that's close. That's really close to what I had hoped it to be. A little bit of that alizarin crimson. Pushing this transition. Up and in. Boy, howdy, does that feel too strong, but we'll see. That might be the right amount. Oh, let's just tap it. Need to wrap around there. This eye is starting to feel too small, but honestly, I think we might be doing some good stuff there. Although I will readily confess that especially in portraits, the heads I draw and paint get bigger and bigger and bigger as I make my corrections. Which I'm not that special. That happens to lots of people. But it's a thing I've got to watch out for. Have I actually fixed that, or have I just made it bigger? All right. So that neat stuff that happened with the hair there, unfortunately, it can't stay. I did some neat detailing on top of a base that wasn't quite right. And I need to fix that, even though it means my detailing goes away. I'm grabbing my trusty mirror so I can take a look at this from some different angles. Oh, that's doing that, I just discovered a little thing I want to change way over in the cheek and ear. And again, the head's getting bigger and bigger. I instinctively say, oh, this is too small, I need to make it bigger. Not that's too big, I need to make it smaller. I'm like, that's not how everybody draws and paints, but it's probably the predominant, right? That's more people probably make errors in that direction than the other one. Now, make that red and red stacked on top of each other. I'm probably not going to have much meaningful detail over in the ear here. But I want to give the impression, give the feeling that some detail there. Blue light has become a blue dark. I want to fix that. I am getting just a little too blendy, right? Oh, how do I fix that? How do I fix that? a smaller brush. There's a line in The Great Gatsby about one of the characters' hair being a splash of blue paint. And I remember a English professor, when we were reading that book, talking about how that's a weird statement, like a weird abstract statement. It's not really like, what would that look like if somebody had blue paint on their head? And I'm like, no, I totally get that. Her hair's the way Soroya would have used a bravura brushstroke to lay in some blue paint, which would feel like. All right, how's my stage? Is my stage set? I want to get... I am digging for... There we go. A really long, languid cursive line, because I think it's time for me, and I'm going to warm this up with a little bit of Gamsol and a little bit... Ooh, did you see that drip? That was cool. See if I can make it drip again. There we go. Of linseed oil. And load it up with the right amount of paint, hopefully. And come in and... All right, that little S curve isn't in the reference. It's not how her hair actually goes. And maybe how her hair actually goes is a better... Look at that. That's fun, right? Oops. I just dropped the handle of a brush in my paint. Now, in real life, she was wearing some big fun hoop earrings. Are they the right thing for this painting, though? I don't know. I have not yet decided. I am having some fun here. Oh, look at this. Whee! I love this. Barely organized mess of her hair. And I hope that phrasing doesn't hurt Arabella's feelings at all. I absolutely don't think it should. That's fun. Okay, so I am coming close to getting too carried away with my funky liner brush here. And making lines that are fun to make, but do not serve the bigger picture of the painting. So I'm going to rein myself in any minute now. I'm gonna make better decisions just in a minute. I can stop any time. Honest. Well, maybe not any time. Yeah, let's go in and use my funky little brush here to sketch in some fixes and changes for the bigger, more blendier brushes to execute. And if some of this funky line survives, that'll actually be great. Oh, this is great, man. I am pleased with how this is coming together. I do this sort of stuff constantly. All right, so I'm working for an hour and a half. Some stuff is coming along really nicely. And a true performer would keep powering on, right? Getting some more greens into this. Hill behind, then to come in with my new colors I can make with my alizarin crimson. My palette couldn't quite make these colors before. I like those marks. They might be too white. We will see. I'm going to leave them, almost leave them for now. And I can drop them back. Ease them off later if I need to. All right. I'm going to take a 5-minute break. And I'm going to come back and hopefully push this thing to a successful conclusion. Or maybe I'll absolutely destroy it. We'll see. Be right back. Hey, bud. How are you? Are you really? Oops. No. No, I'm not configured right now. All right. As fun as these strokes are, they're just a little too punchy. All right. So my hope, my plan is I'm gonna work out from the nose and bring in just the right amount of detail into the eyes and mouth. And most of this stuff in the periphery is going to stay like it is. We shall see. If my plan comes to fruition. I'm getting quiet because I'm concentrating. All right. Push, push. I want to get these facets better before I rush in. to the darks of the nostrils and that sort of thing. Just drag that. Nope. Don't quite have the right consistency of paint yet. All right, let's try now. All right, that. Smoosh, smoosh. Smoosh and blend. That's more like what I want. Go with that shape. What do we think about that, guys? Is that? Coming into place a little better. All right, I need this. Subtlety happening on that far nostril that I'm not picking up quite yet. That might not have been right. I mean, that wasn't right. Can I push it back? Pull it in. And then come in again. Okay, when I squint my eyes down, that feels pretty right, actually. All right, why can't I get this? Push, slide. All right, that's pretty close. Look at that. Nice. It's gotten too round though. I need just a little more angle there. All right. Now the question is, so like the nose is, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's in place. The question is, where's my next place of attack? And I think it's the mouth, right? I was going to say, obviously we go to the eye next, but maybe not. I think this stuff. Let's see. I don't have a black in my palette. But it might be called for. All right, we get this lovely, ooh, look at that. Oh, maybe we don't need black after all. Maybe this alizarin and ultramarine is going to do it for us. Okay. All right, I don't usually go smaller than this brush, but I don't usually make a painting this small either, so I think I'm going to give myself permission to bring in a small little brush. To hit some of these details, but not yet. Not yet. Not until I get the eyes better established. Okay.
So now I'm seeing some problems in the transition from the mouth to the chin. Then it is time to straighten up. Drop the chin down a little. That edge is getting too hard. I want to muss it up a little bit. Now, I don't know how well this is reading on your screen. Right, this is, like I said, a pretty small painting. And it probably feels like it's bigger on whatever screen you're working on, you're looking at. Big color transitions here, and I'm fighting to make them not feel like a dirty face, right? All right, so I'm mixing up a quote-unquote black. It is ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and a touch of my alizarin crimson, brought in specially for the job. And my goal here is to not cartoon this eye. line draw it, bring in details. Oh yeah, that brushstroke makes me happy. Can I do it again? Up here. Not on the first try, but let's, what on the second? You know, maybe I do want to go grab some actual black pigment. Maybe that's what I need to get this last oomph. Out of this piece. Okay, but before I do, let's think about some of these places we want to darken up, but keep nice and rich. All right. I squint of my eyes and I see that down here this stuff is just gotten way too light in value. Yeah, here's the other thing. Let me get the straps of her dress in. All right, for the record, that didn't work. Let's see if we can rehabilitate it a little. All right, I'm going to add some actual black. Because there are a bunch of areas here I just want to push. They're as dark as my current pigments can get them. And I want to push some oomph. Into them that my current mix isn't getting. Now, some of you may have heard art teachers say that you don't want to use black. And I will just say, you don't want to use black too early. And you want to be careful about moving black into your color mixtures, because it does deaden colors. Yeah, I've got a little brush. I'm going to make a little more nuanced statement about the nose. If you're curious, I'm not using the black pigment anymore for this. Gone back to my mixtures now. And again, this alizarin is doing a great job of pushing my color temperatures closer to where I wanted them. Now I see I'm moving dangerously into the everything gets bigger stage. I gotta watch it. Now, little. Yeah, playing with that jawline a little bit. All right, what else needs to happen here? All right, there's a million things I could do, but what should I do? Okay. Now let's come in. Push Sclera. Do I have that name right? Don't know why I'm blanking on it. Celera, right? I don't know. All right, my friends, I'm going to call this a day for the broadcasting of this. I need some time away from this before I know what else needs to be done. It might be very little. There might be some significant changes. Obviously, I hope it's very little, right? All right, but you know what this absolutely needs, without a doubt. Arabella's wearing big hoop earrings. I feel like I'm not being honest to the day. If I don't put them in. All right. So, everyone who dropped by, thank you very much. Don't know how much more is going to happen, but this layer of paint at any rate is finished. Bye, guys.